The other day, I overheard a conversation between three people as I was walking by, and it ended with one of those three people saying, "Well, it is what it is," and then just walking away. The two folks that were left standing there just looked at each other and shrugged and kind of changed the topic. Does that phrase, "it is what it is," bug you as much as it does me? In my experience, people usually use it as a way of saying, "I give up," or "that's too hard to understand," or "nothing we can do about that." And it kind of sparks a little bit of frustration in me when that's what their intent is. It is what it is. We can't do anything about it. Can't understand it, can't work with it, can't work around it, just give up. Feels like people use this phrase when they're confronted with a disappointing picture of reality. They feel utterly powerless, and therefore they have no personal responsibility. They're frustrated, or they're irritated, or downright angry with it, so they say, "it is what it is." But even though this guy walked away and said it as he walked away, and maybe he was feeling that stuff, I've noticed that people who use that phrase don't use it in the same way as like an act of stoicism or stoic resignation. Rather, they don't just leave it behind and say it is what it is. Rather, they kind of pick at it. They keep bringing it back up, and they keep complaining, and they keep grumbling about this thing that is what it is. They look at it, they confront reality, but only partially. They look at this thing that's bugging them long enough to get frustrated, long enough to make their frustration the point. And then they get in an endless loop of complaining. Well, back in the day, it wasn't called negativity or complaining. It was called grumbling. Back in the day, grumbling was the thing. Those grumblers around us have a huge effect on us. They heighten our anxiety, they sap our courage, they drain our creativity, and they waste our time. Most grumblers have taken this behavior, this mindset, to a high level. They create drama around their grumbling, and they use "it is what it is" as a way of introducing that. It feels like this drama they create, it feels like significance, but it's not. Drama is actually a pale substitute for significance. It is what it is, in a tone of frustrated kind of resignation, only goes part way. It's a statement about reality, but like I said, it's only half of reality. It's a statement about how things are right now, or how they've been in the past, how they've been for a while. But people who use that phrase usually stop there because they assume, and then they imply, that because it is what it will always be what it is. And there's nothing anyone can do about it, or with it, or around it, or through it, or because of it. It is what it is. Deep sigh. And they just walk away. I think that's probably where that shrugging emoji on my iPhone came from. It kind of captures that, it is what it is thing. But that's not you. You're a leader. Leadership isn't everything, but it's the first thing. Leaders get there first. That means that you must become a fan of reality, of how it really is, of all of it. Not just a fan of half of it or part of it, of all of it. If you look at reality and sigh and shrug and say, "oh well, it is what it is," and you are not changed and you don't do anything different because of what you've discovered, then you've only gone halfway. I think it's possible that you might be worse off for apprehending part of reality and then doing nothing about it than those who ignore reality completely. So, it's time to become a fan of reality, of all of it. It is what it is. Now what? Now that I've discovered reality, what's my responsibility? What's our responsibility? Your board chair is weak and doesn't hold other members of the board to their commitments. That's reality. It is what it is. Now what? What's my work? What's my responsibility? Maybe you were raised by wolves. That's reality. Now what? You have a lazy team member upon whom everyone else depends, and she's been that way for 5 years, and no matter what you try, she returns to her excuses and settles back into her laziness. Reality. It is what it is. Now what? You're understaffed, maybe, and your efforts to hire people over the last couple of years have failed. Reality. Now what? Maybe your boss or your supervisor is completely ignorant about the challenges of your work and shows no interest in learning, and he makes crazy demands on you at the same time. That's reality. It is what it is. But now what? Your expenses maybe in your enterprise are 30% higher than your revenue, and they've been that way for a while. That's reality. It is what it is. Now what? Maybe you're working 60 hours a week and you've put on 20 pounds and you're drinking yourself to sleep every night and waking up in the morning feeling like you've been run over by a garbage truck twice. You've been doing that for a while. Okay, that's reality. It is what it is. Now what? You have a coworker who complains constantly and just wastes your time with this pseudo drama. It's reality. Now what? Maybe your workplace is toxic to your very leadership. Now what? Well, I could go on. You get the idea. It is what it is only half the story. Now what is the rest of the story? Here's the secret. Here's what I've learned. All the good leaders that I've known, all of them are fans of reality. And they use that voracious curiosity about how things really are as a fuel to create something better. They have the courage to get up close and personal with how things really are. They say with confidence, it is what it is, and then they say, now what? They make a plan, they get to work, they say, oh, I see reality. I see it as it is. It is what it is. Because it is what it is, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this or stop that or continue double down on that. Maybe that's what the Stoics of old meant when they said, the obstacle isn't in the way, it is the way. So I'd guess you have something about which you could say, it is what it is. You know, you're not powerless. You can do something with it, or about it, or through it, or because of it. It's time to stop grumbling about it. It's time to stop ignoring it. It's time to stop beating your head against the wall of it and whining. It's time to move because of it. I know as well as you know that reality can be hard, but I'm still a fan of reality. I'm committed to understanding reality, to experiencing it, to leaning into it. It can be a little severe at times. It can be a cold slap in the face on a cold winter day for a month or a year. But we still need to embrace it so that we can see it for what it is and then create something better. It is what it is. Perhaps you're going to hear that phrase and think about it a little bit differently now. Perhaps you'll hear yourself saying it to yourself. Perhaps then now you're going to, when you hear it or say it to yourself, lean in. Understand reality a little bit more and maybe use the phrase differently and add to it. Okay, now what? If it is what it is, now what? I don't know what those three people that I walked by slowly and overheard were even talking about. I don't know if the guy who walked away was frustrated or grumbling or irritated or drama. I don't know what was going on there, but I'm probably overthinking it a little bit. Maybe he was just bored, and maybe he just said, it is what it is, and I'm bored, and just spit on the ground and walked away. Too soon, Donnie? Remember that story when you did that with a group of friends? We were all sitting around, and Donnie was like, I'm kind of done with this. And he said, I'm bored, stood up, spit on the ground, and walked away. Too soon? Anyway, keep up the good work. We need you to take a hard look at reality. It is what it is. Now what? Change something because of it. Here's to you.